Mike MD's. This is a 2018 BMW 3 Series with a 4-cylinder, the B48. This also applies to the B58. Any of the cars that have either of these two engines, which is pretty much almost all of them, will eventually have a leak, a coolant leak from this little pipe. It's under the intake manifold. We're gonna do it right now. As far as replacing this little pipe, it's extremely hard to see. It's hard to diagnose. It's difficult to look in there with a mirror. That's the only way you can really diagnose this thing. But it is very common. The name of the game is basically to take off as much as you can in this area so you can get access in there, and I'll do my best to show you inside. The next thing we're gonna do is remove the engine control module and all these components here with the carrier. You're gonna wanna disconnect the negative battery terminal on the vehicle before you do this. And it's gonna require a 10mm socket to loosen this here and then put it down to the side. And there's one more down in there. Get a little screwdriver and pry that thing. Pry this away from here and it'll pop out there. There's a T20, Torx bit 20 you're gonna need. Pull that one out. There's also another one hiding in this little corner here. See that there? Right in there. All right, I got the screws out. So it should pop out. Might be able to lay it to the side. Actually, I can just take these off here. There's little tabs that you get a little pick in there and move them, and this will slide out here. All right, now this is the upper radiator hose here. See, it goes up, follows my hand, this right here, and that will go underneath the intake manifold to the side of the engine block. It's 3 screws. You want to take the hose off first. It has a typical style BMW holding clip. They use a pick, pop it up, and you can wiggle the hose off, and then we'll work on getting those 3 bolts off there. And it sits in there just like that. This is the new one here, so that's what it looks like. We're gonna use a pretty long extension here with an E-Torx 8. Looks like that. All right, I popped the hose off. And it looks like that here, okay? See, it has that little clip you gotta pop up with a pick, click it back so you don't lose it, and fasten this thing somewhere to the side where it's out of the way for you. And we can see it now, straight back there. You see that thing? It looks like a big hole. That's what we're taking off. Another common place where these leak is the oil filter housing. Usually this pipe will leak first, but the oil filter housing, this is quite a bigger job. Some people take the whole intake manifold off for this one. You can squeeze it out. It's pretty tight in there, but we're not doing that today. Right, all the screws are loose. I'm gonna grab them with a magnet. Just yank it off, comes right off there. And that's it. You're gonna wanna clean the surface with some kind of rag just to make sure there's no residue on there or crusty stuff. So it makes a nice seal when you go back together. All right, that's what it looks like. And we're gonna go back together with the new one here. You can reach your hand in there. You're able to tighten the screws by finger. You can reach it, it's not a problem. And we're just gonna snug them. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be cranked on. It doesn't need a torque spec. You can just snug them. Keep in mind it's plastic, don't go crazy on it. It's got a nice seal, so just kind of snug, that's it. Just slightly snug them, and then go back again and snug them even more, so it seats in even. Now when going back on with the upper coolant hose, use a little bit of lubricant like Vaseline, just along the edge there, so that seal doesn't have a hard time getting on or gets cut or galled or anything like that. It makes a nice seal. There, it's on. When you hear the click, you know you got it in, you can pull it. It's not going anywhere. All right, now we're going back together. Here is a reference shot for you in case you need to remember. Always a good idea to take a picture first. You can even mark these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Same with these here. And I'm gonna leave this top off and put it on later, just in case there's any other leaks, or I can check for the leaks once I start running it. We're gonna top the coolant off with some 50-50 mix. This takes the blue coolant style. We're going to loosen the bleeder screw here, just pour it in until you start seeing this bubble up here, and that'll be enough. This is a mechanical water pump here, so we're going to bleed it traditional style, putting the heater on either the feet or the windshield and rev it up to about 2,000. That'll probably be enough there. All right, I can hear it bubbling in here, starting to come out. You can squeeze the hose too to kind of force it out. Connect the battery and we'll start it up. All right, start it up. We're just gonna rev it up to about 2,000, 2,500-ish, and wait for the temperature to get up here. Make sure you put the radiator cap on first. Sometimes you'll get a low coolant level as it starts bleeding. It'll burp itself and drop the level. That's fine. It's not gonna hurt anything. Just keep it going until you get an operating temperature, and then let it cool down after about a half hour to an hour, and then double check the level, and then you can drive it. Thank you for joining me, Mike MDs. I'll see you on the next one. Happy motoring to you.